An animal lover did something nice, right? Saved some ducklings that were crossing a highway near Montreal 4 years ago. But what she thought was a good deed had some incredibly tragic, unintended consequences, both then for others and now for her.
25-year-old Emma Zornabach hid her face as she left the courtroom where she was found guilty of criminal negligence causing death and dangerous driving causing death.
What we hope is that a clear message is sent to the society that we do not stop on the highway for animals. It's not worth it.
The verdict comes almost 4 years to the day after her deadly decision. Zornabach parked her car in the left-hand lane of a highway and tried to rescue a group of ducks. Seconds later, a motorcycle crashed into her Honda Civic. 50-year-old André Roy and his 16-year-old daughter Jessie died of injuries sustained in the crash.
My feelings are that it's time that we go on. This will not bring my loved one.
Throughout the trial, the defense called it an unfortunate accident, not a criminal act.
There was no ill will at all. No alcohol, no drug, no speeding, no race.
Marc Labelle says he may appeal the judge's decision.
I'm not sure that in Canada you can be found guilty of a crime with that short proof of an intent.
All right, this is really a difficult case all along. You got two people who lost their lives. Let me bring in the Dream Team and show you, kind of walk you through what happened here and what we're really talking about. And so she's driving down the highway, and there's a group of ducklings that are crossing the road near the median here. But here's the catch. She's in the left lane, okay? She's in the left-hand lane. So what does this Good Samaritan animal lover do? She stops the car in the left lane, comes to a complete stop here in the left lane. She gets out to try to save these ducklings, and what her purpose was, she was going to try to actually gather up the ducklings, I think get them into her car to save them, because there's a meeting here, they're going to get run over by someone somewhere. Now, she chooses to do that in the left-hand lane. So what else is happening in the left-hand lane? There's other vehicles, including a pair of motorcycles. Okay, a family is riding motorcycles, and you've got on one motorcycle a father and his daughter. And they're driving up here. The car is stopped. She's out of the car. And unfortunately, what happens is both motorcycles crash into the car, but the one with the father and the daughter result in 2 fatalities. The mother, who you heard in that piece, survived. She has forgiven this woman, but she's now on trial and, in fact, found guilty. So I guess the first question is, okay, just stopping in the left-hand lane, such a bad idea.
Negligent.
I don't understand.
Beyond ordinary negligence, this is exactly what we've been talking about in some other cases, where it's more than just being merely negligent, which can subject you to civil lawsuits and monetary damages. This is so grossly negligent, so beyond what's acceptable, that it becomes a criminal act. And even though the driver of the car never intended to hurt anybody, she only wanted to save these ducklings, what she did was so inherently dangerous to human life, that's why she's being held criminally responsible.
Yeah, Joey, I try to get into the mindset, and I understand it, because I've driven down roads and I've seen turtles crossing in my neighborhood and other things, and I slow down and I stop. But what makes this different, you're in the left lane of a highway, and the concern for her own safety and the safety of others just doesn't enter her mind. She's so focused on the ducklings.
Yeah, and that's a problem, Vinny, and it's a very sympathetic case, because you know that she didn't act with any ill will or any intent, of any variety whatsoever. But what everyone has to understand is that the law doesn't only punish intent. It also punishes negligence, that is your failure to perceive a risk, as well as recklessness, which is you consciously disregard a risk. And so when you're driving at a high rate of speed and you're in the left lane and you can anticipate that others also are driving behind you, you just can't stop. And so when you do, and you cause a motorcycle accident, in which case you have a dad and a 16-year-old daughter who die as a result of what you do, we're sympathetic that you want to save anyone, duck, animals, whatever. It's not about saving animals, anyone else. It's about your conduct, and is it reasonable? And if it's unreasonable, although it's not intentional, it's still a crime.
Mike, is there any way to safely save, you have a situation, maybe it's not ducklings, maybe it's a puppy that's in the left lane of a highway. What do you do?
When you have no shoulder, when there's no shoulder at all for you to pull over on, try to get the animals into, you can't stop.
You can't stop.
No, look, I ride motorcycles. Darren rides motorcycles. I tell you what, it's hard to stop a cruiser like that, and they lost 2 lives were lost.
Get over to the shoulder if you have to.
Doesn't look
Maybe
like
over
there
on the
was one
right-hand
there.
side, I don't know, but this clearly was not the right choice.